Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Mickey Jacobs, and I'm the Director of Service Delivery at InflowCX, and I'm super excited to be hosting this webinar today. Our topic is Navigating the Conversational Frontier, a chatbot series. It's the first of three in the series, where we'll be talking about chatbots, all things chatbots. And we also have a couple of upcoming webinars on November 16th in 2 days. We're co-hosting with Genesis, revolutionizing the utility services, add a jolt to your CX. And then on the 30th, in 2 weeks, maximizing contact center success through strategic outsourcing. That's quite a mouthful. But we're excited to have this webinar today on chatbots. And I'm really excited to get started. I'll start off with our agenda. I'll talk a little bit about who is InflowCX and what do we do. And then we'll have the webinar for today's topic, Navigating the Conversational Frontier, with Vanessa Van Arsdale, and I'll introduce her to you. Super excited for you to hear from her. We'll close out with a Q&A session. And if you've got any questions as we go through the presentation, just put them in the Q&A section at the bottom of the chat at the bottom of your screen. And then we'll close out with those questions and answer any questions that you've got on anything that we've covered today, or possibly what we may be coming in the future. As I said, this is the first of 3 webinars in this series. If you'd like information on signing up for the next 2, you can find that information on our website. You can also find information on registering for the other 2 webinars I mentioned as well. So let's get started, and let's start by just talking a little bit about InflowCX. So really, we're all about helping you to evolve your contact center technology and your operation to deliver great customer experiences for your customers. So we help you do everything from evaluate and deploy and optimize your engagement technology and that strategy. We take a very vendor-neutral approach to everything that we help you evaluate. And we do everything with data-driven decisions. So we help you utilize ROI and TCO tools, and then do some business case modeling for you. We want you to make the decision on what technology will work the best for your business. And our expertise covers everything from core CCaaS, as well as AI and CX and UCaaS and WFO and BPO automation, analytics, and other key customer engagement technologies and services. So we start from helping you figure out what you'd like, and then we provide that high-touch implementation and managed services, partnering with you all along the way. Some of the key stats that you might be interested in about InflowCX are in this blue box to the right, but my favorite is about CSAT. Over 99% of our customers love the service that we provided for them and have great things to say. And some of those customers include these logos that you see on the screen. They cover all different verticals, and they cover everything from startup to large enterprise customers in every stage of CX transformations. So we've worked with a lot of great companies, and these are just a few of examples of some of those names that you might be familiar with. Then from a technology partner standpoint, we work with everybody. So we don't just focus on one, but we're experts in everything that you see on this screen, whether it's CCaaS or UCaaS, or whatever it is that you're trying to do in your CX ecosystem. So you may be trying to make some changes today with AI or self-service or your agent assist, or maybe you're interested in quality and analytics or WFO. Whatever it is, we can help you get there with our expertise with these partners that we have on the screen. And this is just a sampling of our portfolio. But we really want to make sure that we try to stay up to date on the industry-leading technology innovators that are out there and help you make the best decision for yourself. So let's talk about today's webinar topic, Navigating the Conversational Frontier. And I mentioned my good friend Vanessa Van Arsdale from Zoom, who's actually going to be leading our discussion. I met Vanessa about a year ago when I had some of the same questions that you might have, helping customers really understand how to approach chatbots. And we now have become such good friends. We talk about every week on what she's seeing in the industry. Vanessa's what she likes to call an AI implementation whiz at Zoom, and she's my go-to for everything AI. So I'm super excited for her to kick things off for us here in just a second. So Vanessa, I'll turn the time over to you and we'll get started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mickey. And thank you sincerely for you and our mutual friend, Charles Hicks, for helping me realize that, you know, what I do with AI and implementations and the success that our small little team had wasn't normal. And then helping me to also like articulate it so that way people could take our secret sauce and put it into their own versions so we can kind of walk down that aisle and have all different kinds of implementation techniques. And I really welcome in this presentation as we go along. If you have any questions or thoughts, it's a community and there's 100 different ways to do it. So I hope today this gives you some good like starting points, a good little recipe to start with. And then we move on from there.
And maybe we ask people to start off with a question. Everybody's different, right? Some people can say AI, and then they can't even spell it. So or chatbot, what is the difference? So depending on, we'll love to hear from you before we get started, and you can put your answer in the chat, but what is your experience with chatbots? So are you somebody that you might say, what is a chatbot? Or maybe you've already, you're in the middle of your build, or you've got your chatbot already built and you are looking to optimize it. Whatever your level of experience with chatbots, just throw it in here in the chat.
And if you want to see something on our next one too, you remind me of that as well, Mickey, since this is a series. If we touch on something, you're like, I need to know more about that. Let us know. Okay, so I wanted today to be fun and light because I feel like with all of the sci-fi movies out there, a lot of this stuff can be very scary. So jokingly said, yes, you're in the Jetsons or Westworld for the younger people. And this is how you thrive with the robot implementation. So the biggest thing that we need to remember is that you are implementing software so that you can replicate a human, but then to elevate one. We're not just replacing the humans in this situation, and that is the key to success. When you come in with this paradigm, and when you have this paradigm from the top all the way down, bought in, that this is where we see the tremendous results that we've had. So you're probably wondering, like, who am I? So I'm Vanessa. I do work at Zoom right now. I have both purchased and worked for a dozen chatbot providers. And I realized when I got a job at Solvy, which Zoom acquired, that I had a manager and a mentor there who helped me realize that I had this weird little knack for implementing these bots and like how my projects were so successful. One of my chat bots saved 3 million in payroll expenses. Another increased CSAT by 30%. And I've implemented bots from very small companies all the way up to the Fortune 500. So I hopefully have, I have some of the clout to back up these, and I want you to have the same success because it's definitely possible, and this is how we do it. So nothing new here, everyone. My favorite show is The Prophet with Marcus Lemonis, and he does a sort of a similar thing where he's ridiculously successful at taking companies that are failing and turning them around into very profitable companies. And he uses what's called the 3 Ps. And through this evolution and over time, with the success of my implementations, I realized that I had been doing this, but it just had a little flavor on it. So we're going to go through each of them today. I'm going to tell you which ones to focus on. And please put in the chat if you want me to dive deeper or we can work with Inflow to send you additional resources and insights. But this is also something that I feel that Inflow, like I had an instant connection with you, Mickey, and with the Inflow team, because you guys also naturally follow this. So let's dive into the first P, which is people. Okay, so people. This is the one where I hope I get some comments. In my projects, usually when you're implementing a chatbot, it's the executives, some manager of a contact center, and maybe like a team lead or like a senior contact center agent. None of these people have done the process or pushed the button in the system to automate this process in months, probably, if not ever. So in my projects, and in your projects, you have to be like a dog with a bone about getting a frontline person. This is usually very difficult because they'll say they're too busy, they don't have the resources. Carla isn't, Carla is the metaphorical agent. She doesn't have the insights that they need. No, don't care. Did Carla push a button yesterday? Then I need to talk to her. And even so much so that one time in a project, I just could not get access to an agent, but we did convince them to send out a survey with an open text box. And I'm talking the gold in that text box was amazing. It was things that the management team had never even thought of. And another one of my favorite stories is one time we had the same kind of debate. I finally get the one of their best contact center agents and create a one-on-one relationship with her. We're talking privately, one-on-one, and she has a literal notebook of ideas of like things to improve and like, or things that are broken. And so I took that and then just regurgitated her ideas for what processes we should focus on. So
is that the where you would start? So of course you start with the people, but is that where you would start, Vanessa? Is with
always.
that front line? Okay, always start with the front line. Okay.
Yeah, like you're saying, hello, we're kicking off the project. Who here is a call center agent? Who here talked to a customer yesterday? Yes, exactly, because that's where you're going to get your strategy from.
Okay.
Thank you, Mickey. So again, this will be kind of an argument. I have some best practices and ideas for how to frame this, but you got to get that frontline person. I also think having a system admin is really helpful because they can tell you like about the APIs. If you need systems to talk to each other, a lot of times like they'll help you get over some of those IT hurdles, but definitely somebody from the call center agent side. The second P is process. So there's three things here. We don't have time to go into all of them, but I wanted to make sure you at least had them so you could think about it more. The first one is whiteboards. A lot of times when you're building out these AI systems and you're automating what a human used to do, it's a lot of words. And a great example is one time I had a bot that wasn't working. We just couldn't figure out why. And when we were verbally talking about the process, we were saying, okay, and then on the screen, it's this, and then on the screen, it's that. Well, the call center agents had two screens. We didn't realize that when they were talking about the system, that was two systems. But if I had whiteboarded it out, we would have somehow, it would have helped us see like, no, that, if I'd put it in one box or something, we would have realized like, oh, we're missing an entirely separate system of where to update the credit card. That was for that one. So use a whiteboard or lucid chart, however you want to say that, something visual. I always like to joke when I'm doing mine because I'm a terrible speller. So I just call it out. I'm like, you guys are going to get a laugh at my spelling. But here we go. It's worth it. The second one is the SDLC, software development lifecycle. Chatbot providers and any sort of automation provider each have their own. Make sure when you're purchasing it, you understand it, and make sure also when you're implementing chatbots, you understand how to communicate what the development lifecycle should be expected for the customer. And then the most important is a decision maker. I really feel like this is one of the keys to our success, is that similar to how we're very dogged about the frontline employee, we're also similar where there has to be one decision maker on each side of the table. So if you're the customer purchasing the software, you need to have one person. 5149, usually there's two kind of managers in charge of this. Someone has to have the 51%. And then if you are the software solution, you're implementing it, they also need to have one decision maker. Usually that's somebody in product or engineering, who can say, yes, we will hot fix this bug. Yes, we will fix this for you, because something always goes wrong and you need one decision maker on each side that as the project goes along, if we can't agree, it goes up to those two, they can decide and then push it back down.
So Vanessa, before you go on to the next slide or just going through the process, we had a great question come in, and before you go to the final piece, Todd asked, I understand starting with the call center agents to identify strategy, but everyone has opinions. I have opinions, and feels like he feels like the call data would be a huge component also. So how do you merge the call center top ideas from those agents to formulate that with the data to formulate that best strategy? I loved this question.
That's a really good question. And this goes back to why you need one decision maker as well. So this has happened to me many, many times. Thank you, Todd. Great idea about the call center data. Yes, start there. And let me give you an example. So a lot of times in contact center systems, when the call comes in, most of the time they can only do one disposition. So what tends to happen is that the agents will solve the small problem and then, we'll solve the large problem and also solve like maybe a smaller one, but not have a disposition. Example, we were implementing a Where's My Order bot, and we were using the data. So the calls were coming in, people needed order status, whatnot. What we didn't realize until we talked to the frontline person is that there was a problem with the password reset. So the reason why people couldn't get in to find their order was actually because their password reset wasn't working. And so the agent would tell them where their order is. The customer would say like, oh, my password's not working. They would just send that off low level. So in that situation, we actually had two, and that's where the decision maker comes in. And then we just say like, hey, actually through this anecdotal thing, of course, do the Where's My Order, but I think you should start with Where's My Password. Sometimes they'll say no, sometimes they'll say yes. And really, you just bring it to that one decision maker and say, here's what is the scope, here's what I have time for, here's what I recommend you do. Do you want to do that? And sometimes it means leaving password off.
And from a decision maker standpoint, is there a type of role that usually you find it's this person in this role that typically is the decision maker?
Yeah, I usually find that when we say that line, it almost 100% of the time comes back as, well, it's me, the manager of the call center, and the manager, which makes sense. IT is paying for it, the call center is getting the benefit. And that's when we say, great, I need someone with 51%.
Okay.
So you guys can talk about it, but at the end of the day, I need someone with 51% who's going to make the decisions. And sometimes they'll have to go back and decide amongst themselves. But most of the time it comes back to that head of that call center is usually the one who has 51%, because they can say password reset. Let's do that one instead of Where's My Order.
Okay, love it.
Okay. And then okay, product. So last P, so we did people, frontline person, process, decision maker, product. If anyone remembers like 5 years ago when you would try to use Siri, Google, Alexa, and you would try to get it to like call someone, and it would like call the wrong person, and then you'd have to like awkwardly hang up on someone you knew from high school that you forgot was in your phone book. I like to make that joke of like, it's just been recent that truly the natural language processing, the guts underneath AI has gotten so good that it can actually replicate human processes. With that, systems are still being developed. Systems are still the technology is still evolving. This is not 100-year-old field. So why I partnered with Inflow for this series, and just in general, you need somebody who can help you figure out like what are the strengths that you need and what weaknesses in the system can you live without. A great example, a lot of cloud providers cannot do on-prem API connectors. Sometimes they can, but it'll cost a lot. I mean, anything's possible in software, but sometimes it's so outside of the cost, it's not feasible. So you need somebody who can help consult you and make sure that you can live without that. And I would also say that while roadmaps are nice, with this technology changing, you want to make sure that when you purchase a solution, and that's again where Inflow can come in because they implement with so many different solutions, that you are getting the solution that will work for you for at least whatever period of time that you are saying. Because roadmaps frequently change, and I would purchase a chatbot off of what is there now versus like on the roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
But lastly, the AI management piece. So similar to actually like managing humans, you do have to manage your chatbot or any AI solution, voice or chat. And that means evolving it. So a common example that I see is password reset and then updating your contact information. A lot of times when we're first implementing automation solutions, those are two different workflows. Those are two different paths. But most of the time, they're resetting their password to do something. So that's an example of where a company like Inflow, can help you to evolve those processes. And maybe the password reset is the start, and then it asks you, would you like to, is there anything else you need to do today? Another example is canceling subscriptions. Canceling subscriptions is the most perfect thing for a bot to do. But you need somebody who's going to help you figure out how to automate the cancels, but then also add in some churn prevention methods. Maybe it's a discount, maybe it's free months, maybe it's automation to follow up to sign back up. You need to keep evolving that so you don't accidentally make decisions that negatively impact your business or get stale. So I know that was a lot, but remember, if you got nothing else from today, that your goal when you're purchasing an AI solution is to elevate the humans that you're replacing with a bot. Otherwise, if you don't, you won't see the results that you want. I promise you. My team and I have had some amazingly successful deployments when we didn't keep this in our forefront. We've also had some real crash and burns. So I hope that is inspiring to you. And we will now move to question and answer.
Awesome. And don't forget to connect with Vanessa or any of us at Inflow on LinkedIn to learn more from her expertise. And don't forget the next two webinars that are coming up in the series. We're excited about those. We have a question. We wanted to make sure that you got the question number 2, which is where's your organization at in terms of using chatbots? There's a 4 little button poll that you can choose from. Either you're not using one, or you're interested, or you're building, or you're looking to optimize. But if you could give us an answer on that, that would be awesome. And then we did have one question that came in, which is for you, Vanessa. What are some examples of processes that are best for automation?
Oh, this is a good one. I'm also going to ones that shouldn't be automated because that will make you guys laugh.
Okay.
So ones that should be automated are this is how I usually phrase it whenever we connect with the frontline employees. Like, what task do you do every day, hundreds of times a day, that bores you? Because usually those are the easiest ones. Password reset, where's my order, bank account balances. I'm trying to do some like industry ones. Bank account balances, updating user information, mailing address, like where to pay your bill. That is surprisingly still a huge question that we find. A very funny one that comes in a lot through the chatbot is, what's your phone number? So a lot of times it's, well, why do you need the phone number? I could just help you through there, and then figuring that out. Some not to implement. Zoom Contact Center just had a partnership. We have our own chatbot solution, but then we also partner with other chatbot providers, and we have one with Core.ai. And I was just reading through some of their content, and they had one about not automating diversity and inclusion questions. And I was really thinking about that, and I could see why somebody would want to do that, because it's like, yes, we value diversity and inclusion. You would a canned response, but that's just something you don't want to automate. That needs a human touch. They're asking for a reason, and you want to make sure that that gets answered appropriately. I've also had one where the company explained to me their termination process, and I could definitely see how it could be automated, but that was a decision maker one on my side, where I was like, there's no way I am implementing a termination bot. I'm not doing it. Like, so they got with my decision maker on my customer side and said like, hey, like, let's find some other ways to do this. So hopefully that's a good place for you guys to start. Anything that's repetitive and mundane, and then anything that is just a lot of HR stuff can be semi-automated, but just be careful about what you automate and make sure you have buy-in from across the organization.
Awesome. So we've got 2 other follow-up questions, and we'll be quick with these because I'm mindful of the time. But the next question was, there are lots of call center platforms that have core chatbot capabilities, and there are also nearly limitless options and capabilities with cloud providers. So what paths would you recommend and when? And do you have general guidance on choosing which way to go?
Oh, this is such a good question, Todd. So, and I think maybe in our future sessions, I think one of our topics we're going to go over is about something like this, because my team does not want to hear about the time I purchased a $500 chatbot and it was fantastic. It's a story I tell all the time. They're sick of me saying it. I one time implemented a chatbot for a 5K. It was $500. It was bot dialogue. It was one that Walmart bought eventually, so it went out of business, but it was $500. And I uploaded the 3 questions: how much is the registration, where do I pick up my bib, and when does the race start? Those were the 3 questions. That bot did so good. It was $500. Loved it. I've also implemented $1 million bots with Salesforce Einstein in those use cases. So I'm not avoiding your question, but my general guidance is, what is the sophistication that you need? A 5K bot, like, first of all, the 5K is not making a lot of money in comparison, right? They're not making millions and millions of dollars in one day usually. So you want to be cost conscious. And again, this is where like a partner like Inflow that has the ability to have all these partners can help you figure out, do you just need the $500 bot, but the Genesis call center platform, right? Like, they can help you find this balance and analyze your business to figure out which one is best for you.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And then final question, what's the usual timeline to implement with API integration?
That is a great question. I get that all the time. My answer to that is, this is the key that you'll know if somebody knows what they're talking about. So for real, if you need a crucible to say like, should I go with this partner? What's the API integration?
Yes.
Is it out of the box? Is it Salesforce to some other big cloud provider that everyone knows that they have integrations with? Or is it some homegrown, backwards, still in DOS API that is asking for? So we can give you general timelines with those different ones. If it's super custom, you want to make sure that if they just say like, oh yeah, 4 weeks, then you do not want that person to implement your software.
And you also want to make sure that that company has the expertise with
Yes.
that integration. So it's those three things, but also, do they have the people that have experience with that integration? So that's key as well. That's
Yeah.
a really high, that's a two-part question. And I think or three or four parts, so yes, you can, what is the timeline? There are some follow-up questions we have before we can answer that. So anyway, great questions. Thank you for anyone who submitted one. Hopefully we got all of those covered. Okay, so don't forget that's kind of it takes us to the bottom of the hour. Sorry, we went just a little bit over. But if you'd like to get in touch with us or have additional questions, don't forget you can go to our website or call us at the number you see on the screen or send us an email. Don't forget the follow-up webinars that we'll have in the next couple of months. So webinar 2 and 3, again with Vanessa, again on chatbots. And then we have more webinars this week, the one that I mentioned that we're doing with Genesis, and then on the 30th as well. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks for your questions. Vanessa, thanks for hosting, and
Thanks,
we'll
Nikki.
talk to you soon.